Clancy, how you doing, sir?
How are you doing, sir?
I got to tell you, I'm in full fan mode. I've been a fan of yours for my entire adult life, so it's awesome to finally be able to interview you, sir.
Well, that's nice of you to say. So fun. Thank you.
All right, so for people like me of a certain age, we remember C. Everett Koop. I grew
Yeah.
up in the '80s. I saw the AIDS commercials on TV. So not only do you nail the performance, but the look of him and the mannerisms were spot on for people who know and remember him. So talk about basically researching the character and getting cast by Amy to play Coop.
All right. So I talked to Amy and I was doing my research. They sent me a bunch of research and I did some on my own. And you see, the 1969 coupe is very different from the 1980 coupe that we know and love, right? And I pointed this out to Amy and said, I'm a little old to be playing this 1969, 1970 coupe. And she said, well, that's the coupe that everybody knows, and that's the coupe we need to do. So I had to sort of, be both versions of Coop, the Coop before he was famous and the Coop that we all know and love. But I had to play the Coop we all know and love as before. Is this making sense? You know what I
It
mean?
does, it does,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I don't think he changed that much. I think he was always very focused on science and focused on everything else. I think he was a big disappointment to Reagan,
Oh yeah.
who appointed him and appointed him for political reasons and didn't realize that he was completely a science-driven doctor, even though he was a very religious guy. But he was completely driven by science, and he wouldn't say the kind of political message that they wanted him to say. He would say only things that were supported by science. I think it was about that big controversy was about AIDS and
Yeah.
also about abortion. They wanted to
Yeah.
say abortion made women crazy, and he said, "There's no, it does not," and I won't say that.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about the film, I mean, the film is really, really good. I mean, I shed some tears, which is unusual for me,
Good,
right? But
excellent. Love hearing that. Yeah, I'm
so
sorry you cried, but you did the right thing by crying. Good for you.
no, no,
You
because it's a
got a heart.
powerful
I know
story.
that now.
Well, yeah, well, someone thinks so. But what I find so impressive about Julia's script, and I want to get your opinion on this, is you guys are doing a lot of medical dialogue. We see you with the patients doing tests, talking about prognoses, but it's not unaccessible to the layman like me. And so the idea that we can understand that they're talking about neuroblastoma in kids with cancer and yet have it be very medical but very straightforward, I thought was masterful. So let me ask you, was that something that really appealed to you about the dialogue in the script?
Well, yeah, except for that one scene where I had to say a bunch of that medical dialogue and couldn't get it out. That's when we were walking along the subway or whatever we're walking along. When she's come, I say, "You want the job? You got the job. Now do the job." I'm talking about all the papers that she wrote, and I could not get it out to save my life, and so everybody was very patient with me at that point. But your point about the rest of the script being accessible, I mean, doctor shows are ultimately about people helping people. So I think there's a level of sophistication in audiences to begin with because of our doctor shows. But I also think, it's never a story of science necessarily. Of it's always a story of trying to make lives better, trying to heal people, trying to cure things that seem incurable, trying to do the impossible. And it's nearly done. I mean, she said that if we spend as much money on cancer research as we spend
Yes.
on weapons of war, then we could knock it out. And I believe that. I believe that 100%. That it shouldn't be a charity issue. It should be a national mission to stop neuroblastoma, to stop childhood cancer. I mean, a lot of strides have been made too because of the work that she's done and because of this work that happened as a result of the work that she's done and Coop has done. I mean, it's a cascade. It's a building. Everybody's building on the next thing, and so it's attainable if we could just focus on it. But for some reason, people like fast planes and big boats more. I don't know.
You're 100% right. Let's talk about your scenes with Natalie, who plays Dr. Audrey Evans. So one of the things that's really masterful about Amy's direction and Julia's script is Coop is someone who is, how can I say this? She's dealing with all this misogyny, and patriarchal nonsense. But Coop is beyond that. He hires her because he believes in her. And there's that fantastic scene where you go to her, why do you think you're here? And he explains, like, I can see your talent, I can see what you're capable of, but remember if the world you're in and operate within that boundary. So talk about, working with Natalie and filming the scene, because I was told by Amy that you guys only shot for 23 days. I mean, how much time did you have on set?
Well, we didn't have that much time. I mean, and that's a testament to Amy's work and a testament to Julia's script, of course, and a testament to Natalie's complete commitment and mastery of the material and the world. Those three together, there's nothing there's no story that they can't tell, I'm sure. And it was so fun to watch everybody work, and so easy to watch everybody work. I think the way the script developed, it really became a story of a woman, not a doctor, not a charitable, not a person who invented a charity, but really about a person, a woman who had to overcome a lot of things and never took no for an answer. She just figured out another way to ask the question every single time until she got to yes. I mean, she did it without any fear, and I think she affected Coop as much as Coop trained her, taught her how to do it. He had to familiarize her with the world that she was stepping into here in America, and which she kind of knew already, but the processes and stuff. And then she sort of she kind of schooled Coop on how you get around that in order to achieve what they both wanted to achieve, which is to make kids well, and that's such a great story when you have two people that want to do the same thing but have different ways of going about it, and they help each other get to the end, get to the finish line. That makes
there.
sense. Makes sense.
Oh, that makes 100%. You were lucid, sir. I am with you. One of the things that I really thought was interesting about the film. Have you seen the final cut?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Amy's direction with these long tracking shots, going through the hallways where you can see these people, sleeping on the floor, the poor kids with cancer just piled in because there's nowhere to go. And there's a pivotal scene, I'm not going to reveal a spoiler, where something happens with this beautiful little girl in the end, where she follows Coop out of the room and down the hall. And you can see in your face, like, he wants to cry, but he's not going to, because he's the head surgeon, and he's got
Right.
to show the other doctors, like, this is how we handle something like that. I thought that was one of the most powerful scenes of the film. Talk about filming that in particular.
Well, that's the artistry of Amy and the power of Julia's script. I mean, you just kind of surrender yourself to that as an actor. Um, but also, people at CHOP, at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, were our, they supported us. They were our technical advisors. They were all over the story because they wanted the story told. And you look these people in the face and you see that in them. You see that's how they live their lives. They're 100% committed, and they live with tragedy every day, and they live with victory every day. And it's, if you have to find that balance, you have to find that focus that lets you keep your eyes on the prize, I guess. In a way, you just can't let the tragedies get you too far down, and you can't get too high on the victories, because there's always more work to do.
I tell you, just your countenance in that scene, spelled volumes, especially when Natalie comes in and has to be there. What happens in the climax? All right, so I'm gonna kind of shift gears here, because we have so many people online on our audience who absolutely love you, and just going through the coverage we've done in the last year. So I cover all the SpongeBob stuff, right? And I covered the Penguin. And it's like I've had the privilege of interviewing a lot of people from SpongeBob, but this is my first time interviewing you. So the
Oh,
question is, when is Mr. Krabs going to get his own film? I mean, everyone's getting a film except for Mr. Krabs. What's going on with that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows how to write him, I guess. No, he's got stuff coming up. There's stuff coming up, but it's not the Mr. Krabs show. It's SpongeBob SquarePants. It's you know it's they'll get around to it when they run out of jokes for SpongeBob and Patrick, though.
Well, I assume this is going to be the case, but I'm looking at it now, and I guess they have a new film coming out, I guess in 2025. Let me look at the name here. I literally just out of my screen. So, The Search for SquarePants, that's the next film coming out in the series you guys are doing. Is
Yeah,
obviously you're going to be doing Mr. Krabs in that film?
yeah, yeah, and you get to see Mr. Krabs a little bit more in that film. He figures in a little bit more. But I can't say too much about it yet. We just finished recording, and they're getting into the art, and I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it'll be good. Plankton movie I enjoyed a lot too. I thought that was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
I thought it was phenomenal. And the funny thing is, talking to your castmates, right? I had a really good interview with Lawrence and Jill a few months ago,
Oh
and they
yeah,
were just talking about I mean, it was like I said, I've been watching SpongeBob since day one, so every time I meet you guys, it's just like total fandom. And the thing that I find so funny is like as far as an ensemble. I mean, like one ensemble has been together for 25 years and is so die hard, in this product that keeps evolving but is still around. So my question to you is, did you ever think that it would go and last this long? And do you ever see yourself stopping being a part of that franchise?
uh, no and no. I never thought it would go this long, and I don't see myself stopping being part of the franchise. And that's but the rare thing about that is that I would love to work with Jimmy and Amy and Julia and Natalie in for 25 years too. I mean, that would be so much fun to work with them that long, but it's never the case in my business. So that's what makes SpongeBob kind of exceptional. But it's also the weirdness of this business. Coop and Audrey worked together forever, and Dr. Dan, they worked together forever. So it's more typical for people to work together for 25 years. At least back in the day, I guess. But for us, it's not. So that's what makes SpongeBob special. And SpongeBob is a favorite at the Ronald McDonald houses too. So that would be a cool hookup, right? If we could hook up SpongeBob with Ronald McDonald House the way the Eagles hooked up with and the NFL hooks up with Ronald McDonald House. That'd be some cool synchronicity. Maybe we could do that. Figure that out. Figure that out, Julian. That's your mission.
I will write. I promise you, I will write an article about that and put that out there because that needs to happen. And so, let's talk about your choices because I've seen, I wouldn't say everything that you've done, but a lot of things that you've done. And to me, you can't be categorized, because you can do children's voiceover work. You can be this, amazing doctor in this film, but then you can be a gangster Sal Maroni in Penguin and be a completely different person who's able to kill and murder. And so, obviously you probably get a lot of stuff coming your way. So when you choose, is it always this, okay, singularly, this is the material that I want to do right now? Or you say to yourself, you know what? Let me play Maroni. I haven't played a guy like this before. How do you view these projects?
Oh goodness. I mean, it's always script based. It's always if this is written coherently and well, then it's hard for me to say no. Um, I'm not a big superhero movie guy, but or comic book movie because I think all that world lives really well in animation and on the page. But Penguin was just spectacularly written. It reminded me of a Mary Renault story, where
Mm.
it's an origin story of a character that actually makes sense. It's rational. It's not in the mythos anymore. It's in reality. Um, and just to be part of that would be fun. Uh, you know, but I wouldn't. That's not a show that I would take to Ronald McDonald House and show the kids. What I mean? But who could say no to playing Coop? And after reading Julia's script, it was she was an amazing woman. She was, I always hesitate to say one of a kind, because I think we're all capable of what she was able to do. But what made her special is that she just never doubted the righteousness of her mission. And um, and so that was a great script. That was a good choice. uh SpongeBob was just that was kind of a lark. I just got lucky, I think, on that one. I made a funny voice in front of Steve Hillenburg, and he liked it, and the rest is kind of history. It's just, I don't know the alchemy of SpongeBob. I don't know how it continues to go on the way it goes on, except that I totally enjoy it, and I think kids still totally enjoy it. It's just a great world that Steve created. So I, how do I choose? I don't know. I don't choose. I
All
just
right, so
follow
let
your
me ask you this
instincts.
then.
There you go. Follow your instincts. There you are.
Follow your instinct. So let's flip that question because, like I said, preparing for the interview and just looking through all the stuff that you've done, I asked myself, what has Clancy not done yet? What avenue have you not gone down? What road have you not explored? So at this point in your career, been in the game for so long, what is something that what you want to do? Maybe as an actor, filmmaker, producer. What's a path that you haven't explored yet that you'd like to for our audiences?
Oh boy, boy, that's a really good question. I just did this show on the CW called Good Cop Bad Cop, that's a whole nother genre that I've never done before. I learned a lot on that, and I'd love to do more of that show. It's kind of a dramedy, a procedural comedy with Leighton Meester and Luke Cook, who are just brilliant, and John Quaintance, who's got some just terrific writing, but that's a sort of a venue that I've never been in. Most of my stuff is a little more on the nose than the subtlety of really good TV writing. Goodness, you know, I'm just always surprised by what pops up. And I'm always into it. It's like I say, it's script driven. I don't have an ambition necessarily for to one direction or another. Just keep doing good work, keep learning how to do it, keep doing new stuff and try to learn from it, I guess. I don't know. Mm.
Well, okay, so let me dial that back a bit because we have so much interest in you in general, just because of everything that you've done throughout your career. But let's say when someone comes up to you on the street and they're like, "Oh, Shawshank is my favorite film," and they bring up Byron Hadley. Like when you look at that, you say to yourself, okay, yeah, I love being famous for this role, but maybe it'd be good if they knew me as Mr. Krabs or somebody else. So do you like getting that, or does that annoy you?
Yeah, I don't necessarily like being famous for anything, but what people mention tells me more about them than I
Uh,
guess they know
Good
about me.
answer.
You know what I mean? I mean, So, what tells me about yeah, I know they still got cable if they mention Shawshank Redemption. You know? And I know they got
That's
kids
great.
if they mention SpongeBob, and if they see this, I know they got a heart. I know they got a big heart, and I know that they're people that can change the world. If they see Audrey's children.
Uh, Bravo. All right, so let me close out with a question about Audrey's children again. So, I had a great interview with Amy yesterday, and I didn't realize that you guys were able to interact with Audrey before she died. I didn't. I thought that she died before filming, but apparently she died, I think, 2 weeks into filming. So the cast was able to talk to her. So, did you have any interaction with her? What was the real life Audrey like, in your opinion?
Well, I know that Jimmy and Natalie did get a chance to interact with her. I met her a little bit later. I met her maybe a week before she passed. Uh,
Wow.
Julia invited me to go meet her, and unfortunately, she was in transition, I think, when I met her, and I don't think she certainly didn't know who I was, but I did kind of look like Coop a little bit. And in my story in my head, I think she probably did see Coop, and knew that the next time she'd see him would be in heaven. So I didn't really get a chance to talk to her too much, but I feel like there was some kind of reason that I showed up at that time in her transition, right? I don't know. I don't know. You have to talk to Julie about it. It was moving for me to meet her, to see her, to see where she lived, and instructive and wonderful. And then, it was tremendously sad that she died, but she lived a long time. I mean, she was 97, 98 years old, and she is literally someone that changed the world.
Wow, very, very moving answer. All right, so you know what? I'm going to throw in one last question because I had prepared this question for Amy and for Natalie yesterday. I didn't really have time to ask him, but I'm going to ask you because we have a little bit of time left. So we live in an era now politically, and I'm not going to get into politics, but this film is about saving kids who have cancer, right? And now we're cutting funding for cancer, cutting NIH cancer funding by literally billions of dollars, and it really bothers me because I've been affected with that in my life too. So, as somebody with a platform, as an actor, if you can speak to that, generally, what's your response to something like that?
Well, it bothers me too. It makes no rational sense. There's a lot going on that makes no rational sense. If there's anything we should be spending money on, it is research. It is research, and I think sometimes people don't trust it because they think it's so institutionalized. But if you could just go into one of these research centers or meet some of these people that are actually doing the work and have their boots on the ground in the fight against cancer and against all of the disease and maladies that affect human beings all over the world, then you would change your tune, and maybe you don't build, maybe you build one less bomber or one less aircraft carrier and give that money to a research center, or to give it to CHOP, give it in. If you don't want to give it to the federal thing, fine, give it to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, give it to another research center, give it to Dana-Farber in Boston. But let's get after it because it's solvable. We can make this leap. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. If there's one thing that should be funded, it should be that. But I voted the way I voted, and it's happening, and hopefully the pendulum will swing back the other way one of these days. But not everything is politics, man. Not everything is politics, and it didn't affect Audrey. She didn't care. She made it all happen. She said, okay, if I'm not going to get it from them, I'm going to get it from them. I'm going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles if I have to. I'll go to the McDonald's Corporation if I have to. I'll go wherever I need to go in order to cure kids, in order to end the scourge of neuroblastoma. And she nearly did. I mean, it's within sight. There's light at the end of that tunnel.
Bravo. Great answer. Clancy, tremendous meeting you, sir. Thank you. Really enjoyed you over the years, and I always look forward to your next work, and I look forward to seeing Mr. Krabs again.
Oh, good. You will. You'll see Mr. Krabs again.